The great hall of the palace was silent. Hundreds of eyes watched Princess as she stood before the council of elders. Her silver skin glowed under the blue lights of the chamber. Her four eyes blinked slowly as she waited for the shouting to stop. "You cannot be serious," Elder said. His voice was sharp like breaking glass. "A marriage alliance with humans, those weak creatures." Kept her face calm. Inside, her heart was breaking, but she had no choice. The Empire was coming. Their war fleet had already destroyed 3 colonies. Millions of her people were dead. More would die soon. "The humans have weapons we do not understand," said. Her voice was steady. "They have ships that can tear through armor. They have soldiers who do not stop fighting until they are dead." "Stories," another elder laughed. "Fairy tales. Humans are small. They are soft. They live on one planet and fight among themselves like animals." "Those animals defeated the scouting fleet 6 months ago," replied. "One human ship against 12 destroyers. The humans won in less than an hour." The hall went quiet again. Everyone had heard the reports. No one wanted to believe them. His father, the king, sat on his throne. He was old now. His silver skin had turned gray. His eyes were tired from years of war and loss. He looked at his daughter with sadness. "What do the humans want in return for their help?" he asked. "A marriage alliance," said. "They want to join our bloodlines, to create a bond between our peoples that cannot be broken." "And you would give yourself to one of them?" Elder asked. His voice was full of disgust. "You would share your bed with a human?" "I would do anything to save my people," said. She looked directly at the elder. "Can you say the same?" The elder looked away. He could not meet her eyes. The king stood slowly. The hall fell silent. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with grief. "My daughter speaks truth. We cannot defeat thee alone. We have tried for 50 years. We have lost half our worlds. If the humans can save us, then we must accept their terms." "But the shame," someone whispered. "There is no shame in survival," the king said. "There is only shame in letting your people die when you could have saved them." 3 days later, the human delegation arrived. Their ship was strange. It was not beautiful like ships. It was gray and angular, covered in weapons and thick armor. It looked like a machine built for one purpose only: war. Stood at the landing platform with her guards. She wore her finest robes. Her silver hair was arranged in the traditional style of royalty. She had practiced her speech 100 times. The ship's door opened. Smoke poured out. Then a figure appeared. He was smaller than she expected. Humans were shorter than. This one stood about 2 heads below her. He had brown skin and black hair cut very short. His eyes were dark and calm. He wore a simple gray uniform with no decorations. This was the man she would marry. This was the human soldier they had sent. "Princess," he said, his voice was soft. "My name is, I am honored to meet you." He bowed. It was not the bow. It was something from his own culture, but he had clearly practiced it. He was trying to show respect. Did not know what to feel. She had expected a monster, or a fool, or a brutal warrior covered in scars. Instead, she saw a quiet man with gentle eyes. "Welcome to our world," she said. "I hope your journey was peaceful." "It was," said. He looked around at the guards. They were all much taller than him. They carried weapons and wore armor. They looked at him like he was an insect. Did not seem to notice, or perhaps he did not care. "Your planet is beautiful," he said. "The purple forests remind me of a place on Earth. We call it Korea. I was born there." Blinked. She had not expected small talk. She had not expected him to notice the forests or speak about his home. "Thank you," she said. "Perhaps I can show you more of our world after the ceremony." "I would like that," said. He smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. The wedding happened 1 week later. It was a simple ceremony. The elders refused to attend. They sent gifts but stayed away. They did not want to watch their princess marry a human. Did not care. She stood in the temple and spoke the ancient words. She held his hand. His skin was warm. Humans ran hotter than she could feel his pulse through his fingers. It was steady and calm. When the ceremony ended, they were husband and wife. Looked at the human who now shared her life. He looked back at her with those quiet eyes. "I know this is not what you wanted," said. They were alone now. The guests had left. "I know you did this to save your people, not because you chose me." Did not answer. What could she say? He was right. "I want you to know something," continued. "I will never force you to be something you are not. This marriage is a symbol, a promise between our peoples, but you are still free. You are still yourself." Felt something strange. It took her a moment to recognize it. Surprise. She was surprised by his kindness. "Why did you agree to this?" she asked. "You could have anyone. Why marry a stranger from another world?" Was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because your people are dying and I can help. That is enough reason for me." That night lay in her bed and thought about her husband. He was sleeping in another room. He had not tried to touch her. He had not demanded anything. The elders called humans weak. They said humans were soft and foolish, but was beginning to wonder if they were wrong. There was something in his eyes, something deep and still, like an ocean that looks calm on the surface but hides powerful currents below. She did not know what that something was, not yet. But she would learn. Soon, she would learn exactly what humans were capable of, and it would change everything she believed about the universe. For now, though, she closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. They were still coming. War was still approaching. But for the first time in many years, felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. 2 months passed since the wedding. Watched her husband carefully during this time. She was waiting for him to show his true self. All men had hidden faces, her mother once told her. They wore masks of kindness until they got what they wanted. Then the masks fell away. But's mask never fell, because there was no mask. Every morning he woke before the sun. Would find him in the garden, sitting quietly among the purple flowers. He did not pray. He did not exercise. He simply sat and watched the sky change colors. "What are you doing?" she asked him one morning. "Thinking," he said. "About what?" He smiled, that small smile of his. "About everything, about nothing. It helps me stay calm." Did not understand. Meditated too, but they did it for power. They trained their minds to be sharp weapons, seemed to meditate for peace, for stillness. It confused her. He spent his days learning. He studied the language. He read their history books. He asked servants about their customs and traditions. Within 6 weeks, he could speak better than most aliens who had lived on the planet for years. "You learn quickly," said one evening. They were eating dinner together. It had become their habit. "I like learning," said. "Your people have a beautiful culture, the poetry especially. I read one yesterday about the 3 moons. It made me cry." Stared at him. A soldier who cried at poetry. A warrior who sat in gardens and watched flowers. What kind of human was this? The elders noticed too. They watched him walk through the palace. They saw how he bowed to servants. They heard how he spoke softly to everyone, even the lowest workers. "He is weak," elders said during a council meeting. Was there, she heard every word. "Look at him, he has no fire, no strength. This is the great human warrior, this quiet little man." The other elders laughed. Felt anger rise in her chest, but she controlled it. She did not know why she felt angry, was not her real husband. Their marriage was political. She should not care what the elders said. But she did care, and she did not understand why. One day, decided to test her husband. She took him to the training grounds where soldiers practice combat. The soldiers were tall and strong. Their silver bodies moved like water as they fought with staffs and blades. "Would you like to try?" asked. She wanted to see what he could do. Watched the soldiers for a long moment, then he shook his head. "No thank you, they are very skilled. I would only embarrass myself." Felt disappointment. The elders were right, he was weak. But then something strange happened. One of the soldiers, a young male named, walked over to them. He was tall and proud. He looked down with obvious disgust. "So this is the human," said, "the great warrior who will save us all." He laughed. "You are so small, I could break you with one hand." Looked up at the soldier. His face did not change. His eyes remained calm. "Perhaps you could," said. "I'm not very impressive." Laughed louder. "At least you know your place, little human." He turned to, "Princess, why did you marry this creature? He is nothing, less than nothing." Opened her mouth to respond, but spoke first. "You are right," he said. His voice was still soft, still calm. "I am nothing special, but I would ask you not to speak to my wife with such disrespect. She is your princess. She deserves better." The training ground went silent. Everyone stopped to watch. His face twisted with anger. "You dare lecture me? You are an insect. I should crush you right now." Stood very still. His hands were at his sides. He did not raise them. He did not step back. "If that would make you feel better," he said, "then do it. But please apologize to the princess first." Moved, he was fast. His hand shot towards throat. What happened next was so quick that almost missed it, shifted slightly, just a tiny movement. Hand grabbed empty air. The soldier stumbled forward off balance. Caught him gently, like catching a falling child. "Careful," said, "the ground here is uneven." He released and stepped back. His face was still calm. His breathing had not changed. Stared at him, his face was red with shame. He had attacked and the human had not even fought back. He had just moved like it was nothing. "We should go," said Tu. "I think we have seen enough training for today." They walked away. Behind them heard the soldiers whispering. She heard cursing, but she did not look back. That night she found in the garden again. He was looking at the stars. "What happened today?" she asked. "At the training ground you moved so fast." "Did I?" said. "I did not notice." Sat down next to him. For the first time she looked at him differently, not as a weak creature, not as a political tool, but as a mystery. "Why did you not fight back?" she asked. "He attacked you, you could have hurt him." Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "What would that prove? That I can hurt people. I already know that. I do not need to prove it to anyone." "But he insulted you. He called you nothing." "Words are just words," said. "They only have power if you give them power. I have been called worse things by worse people." Studied his face. The starlight made his brown skin glow. His eyes reflected the 3 moons. "What are you?" she asked. "Really, what are you?" Turned to look at her, and for just a moment saw something in his eyes, something deep, something old, something that made her skin go cold. Then it was gone. He smiled his gentle smile. "I am just a man," he said, "a simple man who wants to help." But knew he was lying, not about wanting to help, that part was true, but about being simple, about being just a man. No, there was something more, something hidden beneath that calm surface. She did not press him. She was not sure she wanted to know the truth. Not yet. Instead, they sat together in the garden and watched the stars. They did not speak. They did not need to. Somewhere in space, the fleet was moving closer. War was coming. Death was coming. But in that moment, there was only peace, only stillness, only a princess and her strange, quiet husband sitting together under alien moons. Was beginning to feel something for him. She did not have a name for it yet. It was not love. It was something else. Something like respect. Something like curiosity. Something like the beginning of understanding. She did not know it yet, but that understanding would soon be complete. The war would show her exactly who really was. And nothing would ever be the same again. The alarms woke in the middle of the night. Red lights flashed in her room. The sound was loud and sharp like screaming metal. She jumped from her bed and ran to the window. What she saw made her blood turn cold. The sky was burning. Warships filled the darkness above the city. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Their black hulls blocked out the stars. Their weapons glowed with orange fire. The invasion had begun. Dressed quickly and ran through the palace. Servants rushed past her in panic. Soldiers shouted orders. Somewhere a child was crying. She found her father in the war room. The old king stood before a holographic map of the planet. His face was gray. His hands were shaking. "How many ships?" asked. 3,000, her father said. His voice was hollow. They brought their entire fleet. Felt sick. They had maybe 200 warships. They were outnumbered 15 to 1. "What about the humans?" she asked. "Where are their ships?" "They are coming," her father said. "But they are 3 days away. We sent the emergency signal, but—" He did not finish. He did not need to. 3 days was too long. They would destroy everything by then. The next hours were chaos. Landing ships fell from the sky like rain. Enemy soldiers poured onto the streets. The sound of battle filled the air. Screams, explosions, the terrible sound of buildings collapsing. Wanted to fight. She had trained with weapons since childhood, but her father forbade it. "You are the heir," he said. "If I die, you must lead our people. You cannot risk yourself." So stayed in the palace and watched the battle through screens. She watched her soldiers die. She watched her city burn. They fought bravely. They always fought bravely. But they were losing. There were too many, too strong, too cruel. By morning, half the city was gone. By evening, they had surrounded the palace. General, the commander of the royal guard, gave her report. Her silver armor was covered in blood. Her left arm hung broken at her side. "We cannot hold them," said. "They will break through the gates by tomorrow, maybe sooner." "What do we do?" asked. Looked at the floor. "We die with honor. That is all we can do." Felt tears burning her eyes. This was the end. After thousands of years, the people would be destroyed. Their culture, their history, everything would be gone. "Where is my husband?" she asked suddenly. No one answered. They had forgotten about. In the chaos of war, the quiet human had disappeared. Searched the palace. She found him in the garden, of course, the garden. He was sitting among the purple flowers just like every morning, but something was different. His eyes were open, but he was not looking at the flowers. He was looking at nothing. His face was empty, still. I said. He did not respond. She said again, louder. Slowly he turned his head to look at her, and felt fear, real fear, because the man looking at her was not the gentle husband she knew. His eyes were different. They were hard, cold, like stones at the bottom of a frozen lake. "How many dead?" he asked. His voice was flat, no emotion. "I do not know," said. "Thousands, maybe more." Nodded slowly. "And the enemy?" "They have surrounded the palace. They will attack tomorrow." Stood up. His movements were different now, sharp, precise, like a machine coming to life. "May I handle this?" he asked. Did not understand. "What do you mean, handle what?" "The enemy," said. "May I remove them?" Stared at him, one man against 3,000 ships, against millions of soldiers. It was madness. She said carefully, "I know you want to help, but this is impossible, even for a human. You cannot fight an army alone." Looked at her. Something moved behind his eyes, something old and terrible. "With respect, my wife," he said, "you do not know what I can do." He walked past her toward the palace, followed. In the war room, the generals were arguing. They stopped when entered. Elder laughed bitterly. "The human," he said. "Have you come to watch us die, or do you have a plan to save us with your human magic?" Ignored him. He walked to the holographic map and studied it carefully. "How many soldiers around the palace?" he asked. General answered, "Approximately 50,000, with more arriving every hour." "And their commander?" "On that ship," pointed to a large warship hovering over the city. "The flagship. It controls their entire fleet." Nodded. "If I destroy the flagship, will the other ships leave?" Everyone stared at him. "Destroy the flagship," said. "It has shields that can stop nuclear weapons. It is impossible to destroy." "You did not answer my question," said. "If I destroy it, will the others leave?" Hesitated. "Yes, the follow strength. If their leader dies, they will run. But that does not matter. You cannot destroy it. No one can." Turned to the king. The old man looked at the human with tired eyes. "Your Majesty," said, "I ask your permission to defend your people." The king was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "You are my daughter's husband. You are part of our family. You do not need permission. Do what you must." Bowed, it was the bow this time, perfect, respectful. Then he turned and walked toward the door. "Wait," called. She ran to him. "What are you going to do? You cannot go out there alone. You will die." Looked at her, and for one moment the coldness in his eyes softened. "Do you remember what you asked me?" he said. "You asked what I really am." Nodded. Reached up and touched her face. His hand was warm, gentle. "I am something your people have never seen," he said. "I am something they have never faced. I am human." He turned and walked away. Watched him go. She wanted to stop him. She wanted to tell him to stay, but something held her back. Something in his voice. Something in his eyes. Something that told her the universe was about to change. She ran to the highest tower of the palace. From there she could see the entire city. The burning buildings, the enemy ships, the armies of waiting to kill her people. And there, walking through the palace gates alone, was her husband. He was so small, so human, so obviously weak. But as watched him walk toward 50,000 enemies, she felt something strange. She felt afraid. Not for him. For them. Watch from the tower as walked through the gates. The soldiers tried to stop him. He walked past them like they were not there. The streets of the city were filled with rubble. Bodies lay everywhere, and the smell of smoke and death hung in the air. Walked through it all. He did not run. He did not hide. He walked straight toward the enemy lines. They saw him coming. Thousands of soldiers turned to look at the small figure approaching them. They were huge creatures, 3 meters tall, 4 arms, skin like black rock. They had conquered 100 worlds. They feared nothing. One of them laughed. The sound was like grinding stones. "Look," the soldier said. "A human, a tiny human coming to fight us. Does it want to die?" More laughter. They raised their weapons. Plasma rifles, energy blades, tools of destruction that had ended millions of lives. Stopped. He was 50 meters from the enemy line. He stood there, small and alone, looking at the army before him. Then he did something strange. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. His hands hung loose at his sides. From the tower watched. She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell him to run, but her voice would not work. The commander raised his hand. "Kill the insect," he ordered. 100 rifles fired at once. Plasma bolts flew toward, each one hot enough to melt steel. They hit nothing. Was not there anymore. He was behind the line. Did not see him move. No one did. One moment he was standing in front of the army. The next moment he was behind them, like he had teleported, like he had walked through space itself. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. They did not understand. Their tiny brains could not process what they had seen. Then the screaming started. Moved, that was the only word for it. He moved. But it was not like any movement had ever seen. He flowed through the army like water through stones. Everywhere he passed, enemies fell. He had no weapons. He did not need them. His hands were enough. His feet were enough. He struck and soldiers died. He kicked and bodies flew through the air. Swung a massive blade at his head, caught it with 2 fingers. He snapped the blade like it was made of paper. Then he put his palm on the soldier's chest and pushed. The soldier flew backward. He crashed through 3 other. He crashed through a building. He kept going until he hit a wall half a kilometer away. From one touch, one gentle push. The started shooting at. Plasma bolts filled the air. Energy beams sliced through the smoke. Dodged them all. He moved between the bolts like he could see them in slow motion, like time itself was moving differently for him. He grabbed a rifle and broke it in half. He took the pieces and threw them. 2 soldiers fell, dead before they hit the ground. Watched from the tower. Her 4 eyes could not process what she was seeing. Her mind refused to believe it. One tiny human killing an army. The commander started shouting orders. Kill him, he is just one creature, kill him. But they could not even touch him, moved through them like a ghost, like a god of death walking among mortals. He reached the commander, the huge raised his weapon. What are you? He screamed. What are you? Looked up at him, his eyes were cold, empty. There was no anger in them, no hatred, just purpose. I am a soldier, said, and you hurt my wife's people. He struck. The commander's head flew from his body. The others saw their leader die. Fear spread through them like disease. They started running. The greatest warriors in the galaxy running from one small human. Did not let them run. He chased them through the streets. He killed them in the rubble. He found them hiding in buildings and ended them with his bare hands. In the palace, the watched through screens. No one spoke. No one breathed. They watched as one human destroyed an army of 50,000. Elder fell to his knees. His face was white with terror. What is that thing? He whispered. That is not a human. That is a demon, a monster. Did not answer. She could not speak. After the ground forces were gone, looked up at the sky. The flagship hovered there, protected by shields that could stop nuclear weapons. Jumped. He jumped so high that he became a small dot against the dark ship. Then he hit the shield. The shield flickered, it cracked, it shattered. From one jump, from one impact. Landed on the hull of the flagship. He began walking toward the bridge. Soldiers came out to stop him. They died. Robots came out to stop him. They died. Everything that tried to stop him died. He reached the bridge and tore through the metal doors with his hands. Inside, the ship's officers stared at him in horror. Leave this system, said. His voice was calm, quiet. Leave and never return, or I will destroy every ship in your fleet. The officers did not argue. They did not fight. They ran to their controls and started the retreat. Within an hour, the entire fleet was gone. 3,000 ships fleeing from one man. Walked back to the palace. The sun was rising. Orange light spread across the ruined city. Bodies lay everywhere. The smell of death was thick. But they were alive. Their palace was standing. Their princess was safe. Walked through the gates. The soldiers who had tried to stop him before now fell to their knees. They bowed their heads. They did not look at him. They were afraid. Everyone was afraid. Ran down from the tower. She pushed through the crowds. She had to reach him. She had to understand. She found him in the garden. Of course, the garden. He was sitting among the purple flowers. His clothes were torn. His hands were covered in blood, but his face was calm, peaceful. She said. He looked up at her, and his eyes were gentle again. The coldness was gone. He was her quiet husband once more. Are you hurt? He asked. Are you safe? Stared at him. She had just watched him kill 50,000 soldiers. She had watched him break a starship with his bare hands, and his first words were about her safety. What are you? She whispered. Looked at his bloody hands. For a long moment he did not speak. I told you, he finally said. I am just a man, a simple man who wanted to help. But now knew the truth. There was nothing simple about him. There was nothing simple about any human. They looked weak. They looked soft. They were kind and gentle and quiet. But when someone hurt the people they loved, they became something else. They became fury. They became death. They became the most terrifying force in the universe. Sat down next to her husband. She took his bloody hand in hers. Thank you, she said. smiled his small smile. "You are welcome, my wife." They sat together as the sun rose. Around them the city was in ruins, but it would rebuild, it would survive. Because of one human, one quiet, gentle, terrifying human. And knew with absolute certainty that she would never be afraid again, not as long as he was by her side. 3 days after the battle, the human fleet arrived. 200 warships dropped out of hyperspace and surrounded the planet. They came ready for war. They found peace instead. Admiral, the commander of the human fleet, came to the palace. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She walked like a predator. Every step was controlled, dangerous. She found in the garden. "You did not wait for us," she said. Her voice was not angry, just tired. "I could not wait," replied. "People were dying." The admiral looked at the ruined city beyond the palace walls. "How many did you kill?" "I did not count. The reports say 50,000, plus the flagship and its crew." Did not respond. He was watching a purple flower sway in the wind. The admiral sat down beside him. For a long moment they were silent. "The council is not happy," she finally said. "They wanted to keep our capabilities secret. Now every species in the galaxy knows what humans can do." "Good," said. "Maybe now they will think twice before hurting innocents." The admiral shook her head. "You always were soft, even in the program, even when they made you into a weapon. You never stopped being kind." She stood up and walked away. "The council will want to speak with you when you are ready." Nodded but did not move. He stayed in the garden as the sun crossed the sky. Found him there that evening. She had been busy all day, organizing relief efforts, helping the wounded, counting the dead. There was so much to do, so much pain to process. But she needed to see him. She needed to understand. "May I sit with you?" she asked. "Move to make room, please." They sat together in silence. The 3 moons were rising. Their light painted the garden silver and blue. The human admiral said, "She mentioned a program. She said they made you into a weapon." His jaw tightened. "Yes." "What did she mean?" For a long time did not answer. When he spoke his voice was heavy, old. "Humans are not naturally strong," he said. "Not like me. Our species is soft like your elders said. We are small. We are weak. On Earth we were not the fastest animals or the strongest. We survived because we were smart, because we worked together." He paused. His eyes were distant, lost in memory. But there were people who wanted more. They wanted to make humans stronger, faster, better, so they created a program. They took children with certain genetic markers. They trained them, changed them, turned them into something new. "Changed them how?" asked. "Drugs, surgery, gene modifications, years of brutal training. Most of us died, only a few survived." His voice cracked slightly. "I was one of the lucky ones." Felt cold. "They did this to children." "Yes, I was 4 years old when they took me. I do not remember my parents. I do not remember my home. I only remember the facility, the tests, the pain." Tears burned eyes. She had watched this man kill 50,000 soldiers. She had seen him break a starship with his bare hands. And now she learned that he was a victim too. A child who had been stolen and tortured into becoming a weapon. "I am sorry," she whispered. Shook his head. "Do not be sorry. It was a long time ago. I have made peace with it." "Have you?" He looked at her. His eyes were soft, sad. "No, not really, but I try." Took his hand. It was warm, strong. But she no longer saw it as the hand of a killer. She saw it as the hand of a survivor. "Why did you agree to marry me?" she asked. The truth this time. Was quiet, then he spoke. "Because I am tired of hurting people. I wanted a life of peace. A life where I could be more than a weapon. When the council told me about a marriage alliance that could prevent a war, I volunteered. But there was a war anyway. Yes, but not because of us. They chose violence. I just ended it." squeezed his hand. You did more than end it, you saved us, all of us. Smiled, but there was pain in that smile. That is what I am for, what I was made for, protecting people, ending threats. I am very good at it. But you do not enjoy it. No, I hate it. Every time I fight, I feel like I am losing something, something human, something good. They sat in silence as the moons rose higher. The garden was peaceful, beautiful. Hard to believe that just days ago, death had walked these streets. What will happen now? Asked. I do not know, the council will decide. They may take me away, send me to another war, another planet that needs saving. Felt her heart tighten. And if they do not, if they let you stay? Turned to look at her. His eyes were hopeful, afraid, human. Then I would like to stay here, with you, if you will have me. Did not answer with words. She leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. It was an awkward kiss, and human mouths were different shapes, but it was real, it was honest. When they separated was smiling, a real smile, the first she had ever seen from him. I will speak to the council, said. I will tell them that you are needed here, that they require a human protector. They will not argue with me, not after what they saw. You would do that for me. For us, said. We are married, remember. Whatever happens, we face it together. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. The city was rebuilt. The dead were mourned. Life continued as it always does. Stayed on the human council agreed after much debate. They had other weapons. They could spare one. He lived within the palace. He tended the garden. He learned more poetry. He taught the soldiers new ways to fight, not the brutal methods he knew, but simpler things, defense, protection, how to guard without killing. The elders who once mocked him now bowed when he walked past. They remembered what he had done. They would never forget. But did not want their fear, he wanted their friendship. Slowly, carefully, he won it, through kindness, through patience, through being exactly who he had always been, a quiet man who wanted to help. 1 year after the battle and stood in the garden. The purple flowers were blooming. The 3 moons hung in the sky. I love you, said. The words felt strange in her mouth. They were human words, but they were true. Took her hand. I love you too. I have loved you since the day we met, since you stood at that landing platform trying to be brave, not knowing what kind of creature you would find. Laughed, I thought you would be a monster. Maybe I am, sometimes. No, shook her head. You are not a monster, you are something much more frightening. What is that? Smiled, you are a good man. A man who chooses to be gentle when he could be terrible. A man who chooses peace when he was made for war. She looked at the stars above them. Somewhere out there, other species were learning about humans, learning what happened when you threatened the people they loved, learning to be afraid. That is what makes humans truly terrifying, said. Not your strength, not your speed, not your weapons. It is the fact that you have all that power and choose not to use it, until you must. Nodded slowly. We call it restraint. It is the most human thing there is. They stood together under the alien moons, the princess and her human husband. Behind them lay a city rebuilt from ruins. Before them lay a future full of unknown challenges. But they were not afraid. They had each other, and in a universe full of darkness, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.